think I'm like a child who was raised by wolves, in that my father was away most of the time. My mother was an English mother, which means she didn't dote and fawn on me. I was an only child, so I had to make my own way a lot of the time. And my companion, my sibling, was my dog. I grew up to understand that dog's expression, that dog's feelings. And so, just as you might grow up with a brother or sister, you come to understand them, and they don't have to say anything to you for you to know what they're feeling.
I think this might be a lost cause, chum.
Perhaps that's what happened with me, because it certainly is very painful to look at an animal's face or body posture and know that they have just been through something bad, and it's not imagination. I think it's because I learned that growing up for years with that dog.
Is this your puppy? How long have you had this puppy?
2 months.
2 months? It's awful cold out here. Plastic barrel, you know, provides some protection from the rain, but it's just not good enough. So we're going to get one of the houses off the truck.
My father had great anger that would well up from inside him. He had a fierce temper. And I work to not have it, but there are occasions when I really have almost done physical damage to people.
What?
The first incident that I remember is when I had just arrived in India. I was sitting at a table and I was drinking my soup. And I looked out, you could see the street from my dining room. And a man was beating, this bull came along pulling a cart. And he obviously was having trouble. And as I watched, the man started to really beat him. And then he lifted the bull's tail and he put the stick up into his rectum. And this bull screamed, and then he collapsed. And the man raised his stick and started to... And I dropped my soup spoon, ran out into the street. And I was just filled with so much anger and panic to stop this from happening to this being. And I got there, and I tore the stick away from him. I was only about 8.5, probably. And I made him kneel down. I was just filled with rage. And this rage that is my father's rage just came up straight inside me. And he knew that he's lucky I didn't kill him.
You look like a sorry soul. Oh my God, he's so thin. Look how thin he is. His bones are thin. Is this the owner?
Yeah.
Well, from here you can see his hip bone sticking out in the back, and you can see his ribs. Yeah. And his backbone under that hair. This is a sort of winter hair that comes in if they're out in the cold. It sticks up. It's just, you know, spindly. But under here, if you feel, that's his backbone. He doesn't have any muscle. He doesn't have any fat. He's not in good shape. He has nothing to really get him through.
So you're going to need to change the food?
Well, I think more than that. Let's look at his gums. See, his gums are chalk white. That means he's anemic. What that means is he's probably got worms like whipworms, which are more serious than the regular stomach worms, roundworms.
Yeah, I just shot him up with worm medicine the other day.
What'd you give him?
It's like the yellow color.
Do you have a vet?
No, not a personal vet.
What are you feeding him?
I had like some PMI, then
You got any now?
Nah, I gave him a little bit earlier this morning.
But you're out of food now?
Yeah, so I was about to go get some now.
All right.
Go get another bag. I gotta go to the hog farm over in Windsor. That's where I get it from.
Because he is in bad shape. He's basically being starved. I mean, that's what's happening to him. Do you want us to take him in, put him in the vet? It won't be any cost to you.
I really appreciate it.
Okay, we have to sign him over for that. Let me get my clipboard. Hang on a second. It's okay. There you are. Oh, it's not so bad. He's just a thing. He's one more thing that they have, I think. Sort of a passing nice idea. You've got yourself a pet. But the reality of care is not understood.
he's heartworm positive. He's severely anemic, as we knew, and he suggested a blood transfusion. He said his red blood cell count was 12% versus 35 to 50%, which is normal. So he's pretty bad off.
So we'll talk to Kashawn.
Yeah. Kashawn? Hi, my name is Daphne. I'm calling from PETA. Okay, he's got heartworm disease. Are you familiar with that? Mm-hmm. You are familiar with it? It's transmitted by mosquitoes, and usually what happens if it's untreated or you don't give the dog a preventive, the worms lodge themselves in the dog's heart, and that's why some of his breathing is labored, if you've noticed. And so that requires some pretty aggressive treatment. You know, I want to talk to you about putting the dog to sleep. Right, so you'd rather not have him back then? Okay. But you understand his serious condition and that he will be put to sleep. Okay, bye-bye.
I think we should go down right away. If you look at him, he's really looks miserable. His whole face looks miserable. So, will you...
I can see the pain in his eyes.
Yeah, will you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My first euthanasia experience was because I took some kittens who had been abandoned by my neighbor to the local shelter. And I didn't realize they were going to be put down. I was very naive. I thought they'd find wonderful homes for them. But I happened to go into the back to have a look at the other animals, and I found they had been put down. And I was pretty shocked because obviously I'd betrayed them. I'd taken them to this place and they had been killed. And it wasn't until much later that I realized that sometimes euthanasia is a gift to them. I had to study how to do it properly because we weren't taught to do it properly in the shelter where I started. There was a man who would just bring all the animals into a room, and then he would stab them basically in the vicinity of their hearts with a needle that had never been changed in a long time and had barbs on it and so on. And the animals would thrash about. They would know that they were going down, and they would be in the blood of other animals. It was like a slaughterhouse.
Why did you take it upon yourself to do it, though?
Because I didn't want them to experience that. And well, I just knew that if I came in early and made a clean place for them and brought them out as if they were going for a walk and did it kindly, they wouldn't know.
This is my Conagra Foods ID. When I get to work at 5:15, I clock in. We're each standing in front of our own separate coop. Pull the bird out by the legs, or most time, grab both legs with one hand because it's harder for them to get away that way. And pull the bird out, let them hang down, grab a leg, and then put them in the shackles. And just it's that over and over and over and over. There are 4 of us, so you have that, and then you have until you're supposed to shackle another bird. By the end of the day, from 5:45 to say we work to 3, or 3:30. It's 50,000 birds is the average output of this plant every day that they run. It's a lot of animals, a whole lot of animals.